Priest Rabbi L.M. Dumuzulu here. We want to look at the enigma and shock of the Hyksos, a blast from the past. The Hyksos, who were they? The term Hyksos is a contracted form of the Egyptian word Heka Khawaset. Scholars tell us that this word means that rulers of foreigners, or perhaps more accurately, rulers of foreign lands. We know that the term is first encountered if you do your research in the works of the scholar Manetho. We ignore Josephus here because we suspect that there was no person like Josephus in ancient history. Nevertheless, they were officially known as Hakawo Gausuthe, a term that originally referred to the ruling caste of the invaders. But who these invaders or people were is not exactly known. Scholars have looked around and there's no clear explanation by any standard that you can use. It's an enigma. Most archaeologists describe the Hyksos as a mixture of Asiatic people. You can see them here. You can go and read that they came from they were likely led by the Mitanni. The ethnic origins of the Hyksos are unknown, as is their fate once they were driven from ancient Kemet by Ahmos I of Thebes in 1500 BCE. He also initiated the era of the new kingdom of ancient Kemet from 1500 to 1000 BCE. You can go to this is encyclopedia that says that. So there is a problem. Let's continue to show that there was a problem with these people. The Hyksos invaded and ruled during the 15th and 16th dynasties. Biblical literalists think that this may be the period when Joseph became a co-regent and the Hebrew people moved into Egypt prior to the Exodus. And they say that this is the reasons to believe in the Bible, that the Bible aligns with Hyksos' reign in ancient Egypt. Let's think about that seriously, because this is not popular. It has never been taught by any or most of the preachers from the pulpit. But scholars say that, and many biblical or Torah biased scholars go that direction. They say that shortly after Joseph ranked second to Pharaoh in Egypt, Semitic Canaanites, whom the Egyptians call the Hyksos, we shall see another term, the Shashu, ruled over Kemet from 1700s BCE until they were expelled 1550 BCE. This completely removes totally the chronology of the Bible from its synchronicity with Exodus and the actual explanation that is in the Torah or in the Bible. Once native Egyptians regained power, Hebrew residents were likely forced into slavery until the Exodus in 1446 BCE. Because when you say native Egyptians, who are the native Egyptians? The black people or the current or the ones that scholars propel? I know that this is when they say this native is black people or melanin dominant humans. When you say Hebrew residents were likely forced into, which Hebrew are you pointing out to? This is the enigma of the Hyksos. Are you saying the current people today who are in Israel, Netanyahu, I'll give an example, are you saying that they are different from Egyptians? Because we know that all of them look European, and because they are European anyway, because the current Egyptians, Sisi and all whoever, Hosni Mubarak, all were and are Europeans, came to Africa via Turkey. Anyway, so this is the, you can go on that side. So let's continue to look at the enigma that is the Hyksos. The priest teacher Manetho, an Egyptian priest, wrote a history of Egypt in the Greek language, probably for Ptolemy I, 305 to 282 BCE. He wrote his second book, A History of Egypt, where he named Tamause that during his reign, the gods turned against them, and a certain people came from the eastern countries. Now, different from what scholars say, Western Asia. Manetho knew that ancient Hamit or ancient Africa is the center of the earth. So when you say east, it's all that part that is east. It's not different. It's a country or countries. He said that they conquered all the former princes and her princes and mercilessly burned the city and destroyed the temples of the gods. With residents, they received the most brutal way, killing some and others together with their wives and children, paying into slavery. Please keep in mind that all of these accounts written by Manetho were written well after the facts, thousands of years maybe afterwards. So when we put a timeline in ancient Hamit for the Hyksos, we can see that the Hyksos reign and people invade and introduce the chariot here between 1650 and 1549. The Hyksos controlled north of Hamit, North Africa. Their control was not sudden. That is what some say. But the Hyksos kings controlled certain cities from 13th dynasty through to 17th dynasty. The 15th dynasty was a period of consolidated Hyksos rule in the delta. All through this period, Hamitic kings ruled in Upper Egypt. When they say Upper Egypt, is actually sub-Saharan part of Africa. Don't look at the borders and the cataracts that scholars use. It's all fake and it's all meant to project a very false idea of ancient Hamit. It's a historical lies. In keeping with their lies and falsifications, the Turks who currently rule Egypt and the so-called Arab countries continue to state that the shepherd king's statue, which is shown here, they say that it's a double statue of Amenemhet III, and as they call him, Nile God. Please make your own judgment. Go visit our popular website here. We know that the ancient Hamites also project a certain understanding that perhaps the Hyksos were Cushites. There is a word there, the Egyptian text, where the Hyksos called themselves Kas or Cushite, which has been popularized by the biblical linguistic. Anyway, the Egyptian textual evidence include the primary evidence, which we get the Turin royal canon, where the Hyksos were styled Heka Khawaset. The same name they called the other Cushites in Nubia during the Old Kingdom. The New Kingdom, the Cushites were still being called Kash. The same name the Hattians called themselves Kashka. So we see that the whole area was dominated by the black people. That's the essence of this explanation that we have given here. Here is what they are doing, lying using history. Don't be cheated by anyone who comes and says that ancient Egypt was not black. It was black. All the non-black images, pictures, or anything are a form of restoration. You can see what they are doing here. They call it restoration. See who is doing the restoration? Maybe the Chinese. And that is whitewashing ancient Hamit. So they're scratching all the brown, the black, and they're repainting everything. They have not yet done the hair here, but they have removed the hair everywhere, and they're continuing to do that. They're doing it today, as I speak, 2020. That's when they are doing it. And they have been doing it for years. And they are continuing to do it. As they dig up, they continue to change. So anyone, any scholar, any textbook that tells you that ancient Hamit or ancient Egypt is not in Africa, that they were not black people, they were not Bantus, they are lying. They are lying. They are liars. It's a historical lie. All the pictures and all the images are restoration and works of art done by universities and other institutes that are funded to do that, to change and to continue to whitewash the earth. DNA, which is also used, is fake. Foreigners came after the Persian conquest of Hamit in 525 BCE, led by a mulatto Asiatic, Cambyses II, of Persia, followed by Alexander the Greek. There is no person of melanin dominant person who should say Alexander the Great. It's Alexander the Greek in 333 BCE. That's the source of all the mummies, the movies, the images that you see. All are known as Euro statues made in universities and by these institutes that are highly funded. That's a fact. What I've said is a fact. So the Hyksos Enigma hides all this that we are saying and wants to hide something that we shall illustrate shortly. The Apiru and the Hebrew Israelites called the Shashu, Hyksos, Shashu, foreign nomad. From 1800 BCE, Canaanite refugees came there. Then Jews, not Israelites, and ruled Egypt for that period. That's what they want to portray, and they want to give you Yahweh or Jew, whom you worship as Yahweh. That's not correct. All this is all forgery, scholastic forgery. The earliest known reference to the Shashu occurs in the 15th century BCE list of the Transjordan people that appears in ancient Kemet, built by Amenhotep and copied later by Sati or Sutu I and Ramasase, as well as many others. That's clear, and they name these people as Rabu Rousers, as Shashu. Not all that which you have been told, that Hebrew and Israelite and stuff like that. Where the Hyksos are Greeks or people from Europe. This is a painting you can go and study by Daroth Third Eye Open One, and his website. We are showing it here. Also show here a Hyksos woman carrying a baby. There it is. So look at this Hyksos woman, and we know that the Hyksos controlled all the delta, Nile Delta, and northern Egypt or Hamid. As they grew more powerful, they set up their own dynasties from the 14th till the end of the 16th dynasty. Some scholars mentioned Salitis as the origin of Sultan. It's possible. And now we have shown how scholars falsify history, and we continue to show how they falsify. The Hyksos were not pharaohs. They were invaders who occupied the Nile Delta region, killed and raped the Kemites, and usurped their true identity for several centuries. So it's completely mixed up here. So imagine and think of the divisions that were there and the wars that were there. So there's something that our ancestors may have been doing here with all the information that we have. You can go and watch this video to see this perception. They established their capital at Avarissa. Do you realize that name? Avarissa means closed or end. A model Del Al-Daba, located on the so-called Pelusiac branch of the River Nile in the eastern Delta. Let's find more images of these Hyksos. And there is an erroneous bust of Amenemhet III in Ludovic's collection Palazzo in Rome. The Egyptian pharaohs never depicted themselves with a full beard like that. That's one clue. They always wore a goatee beard like that. It's a goatee beard, sharp and pointing straight down like that. This is Pharaoh Hatshepsut, one of the most powerful women to ever rule the world. Shocking image of the Hyksos. King Apepa or Apepi or Apaipa, Greek Apophis, 16th dynasty. He looked like that. The Hyksos were Cushites who originated in the Nile Valley, not the Levant or Anatolia. That's what Dr. Clyde Winters, former lecturer, educational psychology and linguistics of Governor State University, says. Think about these images that we are showing here. Is Apepa probably. He had the longest reign of all the Hyksos. His personal name, Apep, is Greek. Apophis was officially taken from the Egyptian god Apep or Apapaipa. Things have become ugly, and his throne name means great and powerful like Ra. He is believed to have been a well-educated ruler and was very short-tempered. More statues of Hyksos or shepherd kings found in Thanis. Look at that. So the Hyksos never overran the whole of ancient Hamid. The middle of Egypt was ruled by Egyptians who paid tribute to Hyksos. Upper Egypt or sub-Saharan Africa was controlled by the people of Nubia, who often fought the Hyksos. Eventually, Ahmos rose up and drove them out. But the Hyksos managed to introduce a number of technologies. They were using advanced strategies and technology, military technology, and they managed to do a lot of damage. Just like how King Shaka changed their fighting tactics and introduced the short stabbing spear and the short axe instead of a throwing spear, a thrown spear. That's the same that the Hyksos did. So it's not a different scenario, or it's not a different. So there was something that our ancestors might have been hiding. Think of what Clyde Winter say, and think of the images that we have shown, and ask, why are they hiding the identity of the Hyksos? They also introduced the chariot, the Hyksos, and the introduction of the use of the chariot as a mode of transportation is generally ascribed to the period of the Hyksos domination of ancient Hamit. The Baki, however, was the most common mode of transportation from the earliest times. And also you can go and study more of these, and the bronze and the wheels and all the technology. The Baki is a boat, is a ship that was used by our ancestors long back, and the chariot and the wheel was invented by our own ancestors in ancient Hamit. Is it possible then that our ancestors were hiding a bitter civil war that engulfed all of ancient Hamit? Think about that. You look at this, you can see that this is a totemized image of the Hyksos. So their totem was a fish, water. You see, right? That means something. We have to think seriously about this. Now, King Ahmos I from Thebes attacked and drove out the Hyksos army from Avaris and most of the delta. They took Avaris after a third attempt. The fleeing king of Hyksos, King Kamujgi or Tajgiwa, had foreseen what was coming and had moved these people along the coast up to southern Canaan. They raided that area for several years afterwards to prevent the Hyksos from coming back. Many details in this scenario are found in contemporary documents, and many of them written under supervision of the victorious King Ahmos himself. Therefore, to consider these events as biblical, it's something and that we call pulling the fingers too far. I often hear a lot of our scholars today retort when we share information like this by saying, well, if Africans were once so powerful and a genius race, how did they lose it all and end up where they are today or now? You can see that this is Ahmos, and this is a modern day Muntu or Bantu in ancient Hamit and modern Hamit. Same people, no difference. Any image of Ahmos that is different from that or different from that is of Euro statue originating from universities and all those rich think tanks that want to change our perception. My answer to the people that say this, that we were great and doubt, is that you must remember that war interrupts progress. It sends people into disarray. Colonization disrupts and persecutes, destroys the educated, and the people are on the move. They have no time to sit down and digest knowledge. The same way you can argue that the Mayans are not building their buildings today. The same way you can argue that Syria, why are they not building their country today in Syria or in Libya? You can argue like that therefore they were not, Libya was not even fertile, was not even advanced, did not have a good infrastructure. You can argue like that. Doesn't make sense, really. So our ancestors fell. We did not win the wars, and we are still in battle. That's a fact that you must remember. The people have been ravaged. They fell from grace, and much has been lost in the sense of the Sahara. However, slowly but surely, we are being able to piece this puzzle together, and we must not ignore the ancient source of our power and our ancient glory. Egypt cast off the heritage of the past and embraced a new language and a new religion, in other words, a new culture. That's what our ancestors did. So, as Gausuthe said, O Hamid, of thy religion nothing will remain but an empty tale, which thine own children in time to come will not believe. Nothing will be left but graven words, and only the stones will tell of thy piety. And in that day men will be weary of life, and they will cease to think the universe worthy of reverent wonder and of worship. Gausuthe, this is exactly answering those people that doubt. And it's quite clear that prophecy is being fulfilled, has been fulfilled right in my eyes. Stop anybody and tell him the story that, do you know we were geniuses in ancient time? Tell them that we were the greatest race on earth. We civilized the earth. We tamed the earth. We spoke with the universe. The universe answered us. We discovered all mathematics, all science, all geography, history, anything that is called civilization. And someone will say, you didn't discover anything. They will doubt it. And they think of this prophecy by Gausuthe. So subscribe to our channel, Hamid Hebrew Ethics, Marifado Development. This preacher Rabbi Elem Dumizulu. We are rebuilding our greatness. Send us an email on join@marifado.com. Thank you. Have a good day.